Kia ora. I am Carol Melchers, and this is my developing philosophy about infant and toddler care and education. I don't think it's possible for me to separate my own experiences as a parent from my learning in this course, so I'm going to share my family with you first. I would like you to meet my two gorgeous boys who were born almost 17 years ago now. These two entered our life when my husband and I were living in far north Queensland. We were thrown into the deep end as first-time parents, caring for two premature babies who were difficult to feed and difficult to settle. They had some health issues and we were on our own. Many of my ideas about caring for infants were replaced by doing just what would work. Breastfeeding was quickly replaced by bottle feeding. Demand feeding was replaced by strict routines. Nappy changes and baths were efficient and quick, and I guess I considered all those things to be chores. Putting the boys to sleep in their car seats while I got ready was often the only way that I could get out the door. And I struggled with guilt every time we made compromises in our parenting choices. But by the time the boys were 2, we had come back to New Zealand and I had become involved with Play Centre. I had the opportunity to go to a Penny Brownlee creativity workshop, and during that weekend Penny introduced us to Dr. Emmy Pickler and to Magda Gerber. For me, this strongly resonated as articulating how I felt about caring for infants, giving full attention, taking time over care moments, always doing things with and not to the baby, respecting their rights, avoiding restriction of movement, and building strong, loving, respectful relationships. It was very confronting for me at the time because it was the opposite of our survival approach that we had to adopt while we were living in Australia. So 2 years later, along came our sunshine baby. So when Miss Annalisa came along, I had attended a second Penny Brownlee workshop that was dedicated to Pickler principles, and I was able to do many things differently with her, including practicing the Pickler principles. This was a time for us when we could actually make parenting choices. We could do things at her pace. I was able to breastfeed. We walked to many of the boys' activities at kindy and school. The park and the pool and the shop were all very local. and we had an old Emil pram which didn't have a 5-point harness, so we used a little harness that could be clipped in at the sides, and Elisa wasn't ever restricted in her movements. We could lie her flat in her bassinet and put it on its wheels, and off we would go. I loved that Pickler and Gerber were given special attention in week 13 of the teaching notes in this course, as it resonates with my personal beliefs and also forms the basis of our infant pedagogy at work. So the story of our family illustrates what I already believed before starting this course. Much of the work that we have done through the course has strengthened and deepened my understanding of why those principles are important, and connecting this to evidence, to theory and to te whariki. I particularly connected with the concept that the relationship is the curriculum, and I find myself thinking about this whenever I'm spending time with the under 2s at work. The importance of building loving reciprocal relationships with the infants and toddlers in our care was particularly strengthened by my assignment when looking at the effects of poverty on children, the healing powers of strong attachment relationships with attentive, tuned-in adults who know the children well and can provide support for developing resilience and emotional well-being, can mitigate the effects of poverty on these children and their families. In te whariki, it's stated that children learn through relationships with people, places and things. I strongly believe that as a teacher it's my job to initiate and build relationships with our infants and toddlers and their whānau. Understanding and accepting cultural or personal preferences, whānau aspirations and child-rearing practices is an important aspect of these relationships. Having the opportunity to spend many hours observing my infant subject has strengthened my understanding of the importance of observation and assessment, and also the need for regularly making these observations. During the 2.5 months, my subject went from crawling to walking, and since then has definitely moved from infancy to toddlerhood. The speed of development has been incredible, and the need for constant assessment and planning to keep up with these changes seems so much more important in these first 2 years. After completing my infant child study, I understand more fully the meaning of holistic development. This little boy's ability to interact with his world, make choices about his play and relationships was directly related to his learning to walk, as it gave him so much more independence. It's important that as a teacher, when working with this most vulnerable age group, I need to be highly knowledgeable about all aspects of infant and toddler development. As I've worked through this course, I've gained such a lot of knowledge which now allows me to observe with a better understanding of individual learning and development, which then allows me to be more intentional in my interactions with the infants and toddlers in my ECEC setting. At the beginning of this video, I introduced you to our 3 beautiful babies. Being a mum has been the most rewarding journey, with all of its ups and downs along the way. I believe that this journey, alongside the work I do and the knowledge I've gained through this course, has strengthened my personal philosophy about infant and toddler care and education.